Tucker Carlson apologizing. Candace Owens saying he's betrayed us. Hell, even Joe Rogan saying something has ended. These are Trump's own people, for Christ's sakes. You can't keep voting for someone who not one time delivered on any of the promises that he said he would do, and then be surprised when he doesn't do it again. Welcome back to the channel. I'm host of Just Another Number 17. If you're new here, welcome for the first time. Today's topic, MAGA regret. Let's talk about it. So if you're new here, if this is your first time watching me, and to those who've already seen me and subscribed to the channel, you know what I'm about to say. This is social commentary. I am biased. I am not a Republican. Neither am I a Democrat at this point, but I lean left. I am not a fan of Trump. I never voted for him. Not one time. I voted for every single person he was running against. There, we've gotten it out the way. Even though, you know, some people who go judging people by the color of their skin would have automatically assumed that I was a Democrat just because. But that's neither here nor there. Today, I want to talk about the MAGA voters who regret their vote because you voted for a certain reason. You voted away because you thought what he was going to do was only going to impact people who didn't vote like you, who didn't look like you, who didn't act like you, who didn't serve like you, who didn't pray like you, who just weren't you. But what you found out, FAFO, what you found out, that's something that those of us who didn't vote for him already knew, is that he would be a disaster for America, the economy, the military, everything. You believe this guy. We knew he was a con man. We knew he was a con job, but you drank the Kool-Aid. MAGA is a cult. Always has been, always will be. So let's talk about exactly what he cut or what he took away. Medicaid cuts. They voted to kill their own health care. This is true. The One Big Beautiful Bill, signed July 4th, 2025. The irony is that you thought that this shit wouldn't affect y'all, and yet it does. It's affecting you as you speak. $1 trillion cut from Medicaid. 800 plus hospitals, nursing homes, maternal wards, and psychiatric centers have been closed in the passage of this big, beautiful bill. Republicans are now gutting health care even further to fund the Iran war. Everything he said he was against was projection. We knew he was going to do this. We knew he was going to pull it off. And see, I'm at the point now where this is no longer a red versus blue, a left versus right. In all reality, these people are screwing over America. They are not looking out. They do not have the best interest of the people who voted for them to put them in so-called power. They are listening to the donor class. They are listening to the people who fund their campaigns. It's pay for play. It's literally pay for play. Have anyone ever stopped to ask themselves, if a person is donating so much money to a campaign, do you honestly expect them to not want to receive or not get something out of it in the long run? Why else would you be spending that money? Think about it. If you're spending money on something, you expect to get something out of it, unless you're gambling. And even then, you still expect to win, even though the odds are severely stacked against you. That's what it's starting to feel like when you vote, that the odds are stacked against you because when you strip it down to its bare bones, when you strip everything down, you take everything completely away. All of these people are human beings, which means things are subject to change. A person can hold a position until they have enough money thrown their way to abandon their principles and do exactly what the person is offering said money to do. They're going to offer you money to do X, Y, and Z. You say, my principles say I shouldn't do X, Y, Z. They increase the number or make it a offer or a deal you cannot refuse. And so what's the first thing to be on the chopping block? What's the first thing to get sacrificed? Those very principles. This is what all politicians do, Democrats and Republicans. Right now, it's Republicans because they're the ones in power. But believe me, the Democrats aren't off the hook because they're in bed with the pharmaceutical industry. I mean, technically they all are, but the Democrats are too. So at the end of the day, when you strip it all down to its bare bones, all these politicians are subject to change. Hell, look at John Fetterman. Look at John Fetterman, for Christ's sakes. He was a raging Democrat. He was a strong progressive at some point. And then somebody got to him. Look at how he's acting now compared to what got him elected. I think he knows that he's not going to be reelected. I guess the deal that they offered him was that it's going to be a bag waiting on him when he gets kicked out of Congress. You know, the revolving door. You vote for certain things a certain way, and once you fulfill your duties, there's a nice cushy job waiting for you on the outside once you get booted from Congress because you betrayed your voters. So you're willing to sell out your voters for money. Democrats know about this all too well, but now Republicans are starting to see it. So it's actually something when they say it's both parties. There's something true about that. It is both parties. It is. But I will say I do lean left and I do lean Democratic. I seen the Democrats. You can say this is from a biased opinion or not, but I've seen them make attempts and more efforts to do something on behalf of the people, the everyday people. I don't see Republicans doing that at all. Republicans will tell you that. But when I ask them, what have they done? What have they done to improve your life? And they'll say something like, well, he's cut taxes. Really? Did he cut taxes for you? Because they do cut taxes. They just cut taxes for billionaires. And, you know, I'm pretty sure there's not a billionaire watching my channel. Does it really affect you? Does it really affect you? Does it really have an impact on you? That's yet to be determined. I got these clips I'm about to play talking about MAGA regret. People are starting to regret their vote, and I'm happy to see it. I'm happy to see it because it was very obvious to anyone who had two functioning brain cells. Just two. That's all it required. Just two functioning brain cells. And you would have been able to see through this man to know that he was a con. You say, well, what if Trump ran as a Democrat? He wouldn't have made it as far as he got. I'm telling you, he wouldn't have. But again, I lean left. I am not a Democrat. Yes, I voted for Kamala. I voted for Hillary Clinton. I voted for Biden. Yes. The Republicans haven't shown or offered up anything in my interest. They haven't. The people that vote Republican, the people that vote for Trump would say, well, it's in my interest to vote for him. What is your interest? Because what I see him serving up is a bunch of culture war bullshit. But, you know, I'm not here to judge. Or maybe I am.
We'll be tormented by it for a long time. I will be. And I want to say I'm sorry for misleading people. It was not intentional. That's all I'll say.
Tucker Carlson apologized on his podcast for his part in helping to get President Donald Trump elected during an interview with his brother, Buckley Carlson.
You and I and everyone else who supported him, you wrote speeches for him, I campaigned for him. I mean, we're implicated in this for sure. You and me and millions of people like us are the reason this is happening right now.
Carlson has been publicly criticizing Trump over the Iran war. He recently called out Trump's Easter Truth Social post in which the president threatened to destroy Iran's bridges and power plants and demanded that they, quote, open the fucking strait.
It is vile on every level. It begins with a promise to use the U.S. military, our military, to destroy civilian infrastructure in another country, which is to say to commit a war crime, a moral crime against the people of the country.
Trump later insulted Carlson, citing polling about his popularity. He posted to Truth Social saying, quote, Tucker is a low IQ person, always easy to beat and highly overrated. This is not the first time Carlson has broken from Trump. The Dominion case revealed that in 2021, Carlson had privately said, I hate him passionately. Still, these comments are a far cry from the 2024 election, where Carlson praised and campaigned for Trump.
And Donald Trump, whatever you say about him, and I think he's a wonderful person. I know him well. By the way, the funniest person I've ever met in my life, actually. You can't be funny without perspective or without empathy, which is true. But everything else about Trump aside, he actually cares.
And this right here is just living proof. People will say anything. People get behind a mic, get behind a camera. They'll say things they don't mean. A lot of people behind the scenes have always leaked. Word has gotten out for years saying how much Trump is an idiot, how much they despise this guy. But they knew that he had such a following that they couldn't go against that. So of course you're going to go out there, you're going to tote the line, right? That's what's happening here. Now, what I personally think is happening is not only are they being affected by his transgressions, by his actions. What I really think was they just wanted another Republican in there because they knew that those tax breaks for the rich and the wealthy were going to expire. They knew no Democrat was going to reimpose or reinstate those tax cuts. So any Republican would have done, any Republican would do. Just so happens to be this clown. And so I think when Joe Rogan and all these other, high priority or high up Republicans, Tucker Carlson, basically all the rich ones, all the ones who have millions and millions of dollars, when all these people come out in support of this guy, but yet talk behind his back, in their little closed circles or their little social links or whatever, everyone knew what the game plan was. Hey, let's just get him in there so he can get these tax cuts done, and then we can cast him aside. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, it's just about money. So with Tucker Carlson and his apology, and anyone else out there, it's bullshit. It's bogus. No one takes it serious. No one actually is believing what you're saying. I mean, it's true. It's what they say. Only a hit dog will holler. Everyone already saw what this guy was doing. And yet they tell us we got TDS, Trump derangement syndrome. But now so many people turning on this guy. So no, Tucker, we don't accept your apology. We don't really give a shit. We knew this guy was bad from the start. But too many people get wrapped up and want to play the political game. You think it's sports. It's, hey, my team versus your team. No, this is the fate of the country. How could you expect a man who has never really run a successful business to run the country? For the idiots out there that say they want the country to be ran like a business, and you go get the one businessman who is a terrible businessman to let him run the country. What did you think was going to happen? These people are not smart, which is why I can't take your opinion seriously. That's why going forward, when it comes to electoral politics, your voice doesn't matter to me. Your voice doesn't matter. You brought on this catastrophe. I don't give a shit about your apology. We knew his policies were going to be bad for people like me, people of color, middle class, lower class, poor. They don't talk about the poor. Most people knew this was going to be a bad situation, and yet people instinctively and selfishly voted for it anyway. You had a sample size. You had him for 4 years. He took 4 years off. And you said, I want the other guy for the next 4 years. You all can't be trusted. You can never be trusted again.
They feel like they gave Trump a year and a half. He's done nothing other than make things worse. This is how they feel if you read the polls. And they're pissed. They're not feeling pro GOP right now for a variety of reasons. They don't tend to like the tariffs. I still am open-minded to them, but I don't speak for the independents, even though I am one. They don't like the war. They don't like what's happening in their bank accounts. And they're starting to think the Democrats might be the better option on the economy. 52% say they prefer Democrats compared to 48% who say they like the Republicans when it comes to who should manage the economy.
Yeah, that's insane. You're all of a sudden independent now, huh, Megyn Kelly? You want to jump on the bandwagon. I mean, that's ultimately what all of this is. It's just a bunch of bandwagoners. But she's rich. She already got her tax cut. This is what I'm saying. Now all of a sudden you're an independent. And you're not that down on the tariffs. But I mean, this is just the bullshit she's selling us. Because anybody who's paid any attention understands that the tariff is a tax on the consumer, not the business. Because the importers, the businesses who import goods from other countries, Trump is putting tariffs on those incoming goods. The business may pay those tariffs, but ultimately every single time pass those increases on to the consumer. So therefore, as far as the tariff situation, it's us paying the tariffs. That's why our prices are going up. You can blame inflation. I personally blame greed. They're making it increase, and they're doing this across the board. It's all of them. We don't really have a free market. We don't really have any competition. So ultimately, seeing her and probably, according to her, that's what she's saying at the polls, millions of other people are saying, oh, they're pissed. Who didn't see this coming? I mean, apparently you all. And I try not to be a judge. I try not to judge people, but I mean, this was, like I've been seeing some comments on social media. This was an open book test and you all failed. You failed miserably. So, Megyn Kelly, another rich person, I'm not buying your bullshit. You're still a Republican. You still care about the Republican Party, even though they were sexist as hell towards you. That's still your party. You're not fooling anybody. Switching to an independent. Yeah, you definitely don't speak for all independents. Believe me, because I consider myself an independent and you damn sure don't fucking speak for me.
I was in a conversation last night with a guy who said he regretted his vote for Trump simply because he wasn't getting the benefit out of Trump's policies that he was expecting. That is such an utterly imbecilic and selfish take. I've never even considered just voting out of my own self-interest in spite of whatever it might do to the rest of the country. Even when I was a Republican, even when I was a conservative, at my most conservative, I thought genuinely that my conservative views, that the policies that I supported would help the country and would lift everybody up. Now, I can go back now and see how I was wrong, but that was still part of my mindset. So I don't understand how somebody can come through this and think, well, it's not helping me, regardless of anything else. Now, this guy also mentioned, it doesn't matter. The bottom line is, how can you be so selfish and then think so much of yourself? How can you be that self-centered and not consider how other people might be impacted by the things that could do you some good? Because I can promise you, there's a lot of things that could do me personally good, that could make my life easier, that would hurt a whole lot of people. And I don't want those things for this country.
First things first, I'd like to come out and say I appreciate the man's honesty for saying how he thought his policies, or thought the Republican policies, would actually benefit the American people, but he's come to understand that they don't. So you get a thumbs up for that. But the man he was talking to, most of them shared the same sentiment. Most of them are selfish. This is just how this works. This is how it plays out with them. Anything that will work for them, because the system all along has benefited. I'm assuming he's talking to a fellow white man. I'm pretty confident that's what this was, but not to say it's about race, but I don't really, even black Republicans, I don't hear them talk that way in particular, but that's neither here nor there, not to ramble. The fact that you thought that these policies that he would put in place would benefit you. If it benefits you, that means it would probably hurt someone else. You didn't care if it hurt someone else, just as long as it didn't hurt you. That's what the farmers are going through right now. That's why so many of them are filing for bankruptcy, because they voted for this man 3 times, and each time they got hurt. Each time. Well, not when they, I guess not the second time because Biden won, but the second time that Trump was elected, they immediately started feeling the pinch, started feeling the burn, and then get mad when Trump does what Trump does. He just does things that aren't smart. He goes and gives I think he gave Argentina, $20 billion? 20 or 40, either way, 20 billion, 40 billion. I think it was 20. He gave it to those farmers. He didn't give it to American farmers, because the ultimate play is for private equity to come in and snatch those farms for pennies on the dollar. See, he's in it for big business. This is what you get when you want a politician who's not even really a politician because he's never held public office, somebody to run the country like a business. Business is predatory, especially here in America. You wanted a man to come in here and enact predatory policies, but you didn't think it was going to affect you. Yeah, you have all earned the Not Smart Award for the next 4 years. No, for the next lifetime. The Not Smart Award. That's what I'm gonna implement. That's the nicest thing that I can say. But ultimately, it's like I want to laugh, but it's hurting me too. And I didn't vote for this clown. They're all selfish. So many people are like this. And I don't feel bad for them. I don't feel bad that it's happening to them, because they wouldn't have felt bad if it was happening to only me.
I'm done. You want to talk about regretting your vote?
I never thought I'd say that, but I regret my vote.
Remember, the MAGA gotcha phrase before the election was, go do your research. Now it's, this ain't what I voted for. Yes, it is. If you did your research, people like me trying to warn you with historical patterns and facts, and a whole bunch of slow people in the comments talking about, do my research. Well, if you actually did your research, none of the stuff happening today would be a surprise. I know y'all don't care about the racism, but the pedophilia, the lies, none of that stuff is new with this guy. That's what you researched, and that's what you decided that you're okay with. So what y'all mad for? Y'all were fine with the incompetence. You're fine with the wars, prices going up on everything. You were fine with kids being bombed. You were fine with all of it because you said you did your research. Come to find out, your research was whatever Trump said. You're like, no, I just have problems with 5th grade math. It don't stop with the math. Try little Timmy's science and geography and social studies. Do you know what that means? That means you peaked in the 3rd grade and you're probably a C-level 4th grader at best. And you come to my page talking about do your research. You can hardly read. The incompetence that MAGA's complaining about right now is just a reflection of the people that voted for him.
Wonderfully said. Wonderfully said. I have often said to myself that you cannot be a smart individual. You cannot be a smart person if you voted for this guy, because racism and sexism and all the other isms make you dumb as hell. It clouds your judgment when you can only see things through a very, 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 very blurred lens. When you can only see things, how can I put this? Again, I can't put it any other way than saying you're just not smart. We have a lot of not smart people in this country of ours. And unfortunately, we don't necessarily means test to see if people are smart enough to vote. Half the time, people are not even really paying attention to the actual issues because they view politics as being boring. And yes, it can be. No one really sits there and watches C-SPAN all day. Well, I mean, some people do. But Most of us are so busy out here because jobs and bills and life is out here kicking our ass. So we try to tune in and fill in the gaps where we can. But because there is so much misinformation out here in the media these days, especially on social media with bots and just trolls, paid trolls at that, whose only job is to wake up and sow misery and chaos. So you really have to be wary of the information you're getting. Now, some people will try to say these MAGA people were tricked. They weren't tricked. They weren't tricked. They bought every line that he sold. They bought everything that he said when he was disparaging and discriminating against other groups of people, because that's who they are. That's how they felt. When he was talking bad about handicapped people, you still voted for him. When he was talking bad about Mexicans, calling them, rapists and everything else, you still voted for him. If a politician even says anything remotely negative about any group of people, they automatically are rejected. They don't get my vote. You can't be out here moving like that. See, I don't like playing the discrimination game, because at the end of the day, we all are humans and we all really do need to stick together. I don't really like playing the political game. At the end of the day, there are issues, there are things that need to be solved in this country. But because our country is so vast and so large, so many people have so many differing opinions on how to go about fixing those issues. And this is where the clashes happen. This is where the disagreements happen. And that's essentially politics in a nutshell. We can't agree. We've done nothing to address the country's greatest sin, slavery. Yes, I'm a firm believer in black people should have reparations. Don't care. Period. I can trace my lineage. I've already done so. Well, my family's done so, and I've seen the evidence. And yeah, I can trace it all the way back to like the 1830s. So as far as reparations are concerned, I support it. Full stop. You will feel whatever way you feel. But black people help build the foundation of this country for what it is. That's my little tangent on that. But to get back to the main point about these MAGA voters regretting their vote all of a sudden, well, I would say be smarter next time, but that would actually involve them having to actually go and do the work, or quote, the research. It's funny when people say go and do the research, and most of these people don't even read. You don't take the time to read. And I mean, something as simple as reading a news article. Like, don't just look at the headline, like actually read the article. But people can't be bothered with that. Social media makes it to where you can go out here and just spew your opinion, no matter how vile, disgusting, or ignorant it is. And then not only that, you have content creators who are just as dumb. So, as far as the MAGA regret, I don't give a shit. I don't care how you all feel. You were warned multiple times, but you saw it as a zero-sum game. Like, your team just had to win at all costs, and you did. You won the presidency, you won both houses of Congress, and you already had the Supreme Court. And look how chaotic everything is. But I will say, I will end this video with one more video. In this video, it really shows how there are still some Trump supporters. There are still, and this is why I say it's a cult. There are still Trump supporters that are okay with everything that he is doing. It's a video with Frank Luntz, and he was talking to all of these MAGA supporters or Trump supporters. And, well, I'll just play the clip so you can see it for yourself.
I need to ask you an issue that no one's brought up and that has crashed your 401ks, most of you, which are tariffs. Stock market is way down.
It needed a correction.
Oh, so you support it?
Yes. You bet.
Yep.
How many?
And I have to tell you,
how many?
my 401k wasn't impacted at all.
How many? First off, how many of you did not lose any money over the drop, over the crash of the stock market? One individual, two people. So, Serena,
The Biden administration, I lost more money than the Trump administration by far.
In 2020,
like
in 2022, they crashed it
40%
by
or more.
25%. Yeah, for the whole year.
No one's upset over this?
No.
No.
Nobody.
There's not a
there's an end
single
game here, though.
4-year period in the history of the stock market where the stock market hasn't appreciated at an average rate of about 7%. It's so, yeah, there's ups and downs and corrections, and sometimes people are foolish and they jump out, buy high, sell low. But if people just get in and stay the course, they'll be just fine.
Yeah, and I was about to say, I'm not a day trader. I try not to look at it very often, which is, I think, a good thing. But I also trust that Trump and all of his advisors that are involved with the tariff issue know what they're doing. So I'm just going to hang on. I know it'll correct at some point. Yeah, I'm not really worried about it.
I think how much more are you willing to pay for products and services that come out of China? How much do prices have to go up before you say, this is not that great?
I'd rather not buy from China. I'd rather pay more money and buy American.
Same.
And prices only go up if demand is inelastic and if there's no alternative supplies. And they're doing a brilliant job. They're surrounding China with countries that want to manufacture stuff as well. And we do need to bring the stuff back, the strategic stuff for sure. But China is going to be in the soup if they don't knock it off.
Every article of clothing I have on is probably made in China, Malaysia, or somewhere else. Okay, retailers, give me something made in America. I'd gladly buy it, but it's not there. Go to Walmart. You ain't gonna find jack shit, pair of socks and underwears made in America.
Made in China.
Maybe. But, shoes, Nikes, Pumas, they're all overrated. They're probably all made overseas. How many American shoe companies have you seen go kaput? There used to be one 30 miles down the road, made Stride Right, made great shoes. You don't hear from them. China, Malaysia.
We need a correction. We just need a correction. We're willing to take whatever it takes.
Ride it out.
Yeah.
That's the point.
Stay the course.
Stay the course. Exactly. It's been a rough 2 weeks, but guess what? We got 3.5 years to worry.
Exactly.
And if it's like this in a year, I'll have another discussion maybe, but I don't think it's going to be.
I'll tell you what.
Stay the course.
Just like that. Stay the course. Stay the course. Even though families are hurting now. I understand about market corrections and everything. But why is it that we have to pay for that? The people who run the stock market, the stockbrokers, everyone who's involved heavily in Wall Street, you all are responsible for this. You all are responsible for the chaos. But it's the people that have to pay ultimately. Because when one of these conglomerates, when one of these banks, major banks, too big to fail, when anything starts hedging or decreasing in profits, they say it's too big to fail. So it always needs a bailout from the taxpayer. And why is it that we don't ever get to share in that prosperity? The taxpayers never get to share when you make record profits. But when you are on the verge of bankruptcy or insolvency or whatever, now all of a sudden, it's the taxpayers that need to bail you out. I mean, that sounds like a shitty deal if I've ever heard of one. But they talk about they need to bring the jobs back. They need to bring the jobs back. Well, sure. I'm an American. I can advocate for that. But what I know about this country, and especially what I know about business, those jobs that they bring back aren't going to pay a living wage. I guarantee it. They're not going to pay a living wage because the jobs that are still here, that are still active, they don't want to pay a living wage for that. You see, everything is based on greed at the end of the day. How can profits? They always preach growth and business. Growth is what they teach in all of these colleges, and people get these MBAs and all of this. It's never ending growth, which is not feasible. It's not possible. We have limited resources on this planet. How can there ever be infinite growth on finite resources? It's set to fail. It's set up to fail. But, that's how you can see that this is a cult. Stay the course. Stay the course. It's a cult. It always has been. Buyers, what's the word I'm thinking of? Cost sunk fallacy. Or something along that lines. Basically, you've invested in this and you see that it's going to shit. Or sunken cost fallacy, something like that. But you see that it's going to shit. You see that it's bad. And you know that it's wrong, but you won't own it. You won't own up to it. You won't own up. You have too much pride in you to not be able to own your fuck up, to not be able to own your mistake. And this is what we deal with. This is what we are dealing with. If I make a mistake in one of my videos or a mistake in life, I'm not afraid to say, my mistake. I screwed up. My bad. I'm a very humble person. I try to be, at least. I'm human. I'm bound to make a mistake. There isn't a single human walking this planet that doesn't fuck up at some point. Some people fuck up every day, but that's not here. That's neither here nor there. It's a cult. It always has been a cult. It always will be a cult. And the good thing is, video exists, which means we'll have receipts. When this is all said and done, when everything starts spiraling completely out of control, no one will ever be able to say, well, I didn't vote for him. You did. You voted for him. There are receipts. So ultimately, I don't give a fuck about people who regret their vote when you were warned, when you were told, and you didn't listen. This is an I told you so moment. This is an I fucking told you so moment. Deal with it. Take it. Accept it. Swallow it. That's what it is. Man or woman up. Take responsibility for your actions and own it. You always talk about ownership. Y'all always want to own everything. Well, own this. So if you stayed this long, if you stayed to the end, I appreciate you deeply. I really do. If you stayed because you enjoyed what I said, or you stayed because you hate every single word that I said, I still appreciate it. And if you like the content, like I said in the beginning, make sure to hit the subscribe button. If you don't like the content, don't worry. You never have to see me again. I'm personally sick of this left, right, blue, red divide. I really am. I'm tired of it. We just need to fix our damn problems in this country before we can worry about what's going on elsewhere. But that's the American empire for you. Like I always say, when we have the numbers, we're stronger together. We really need to start really thinking deeply about that.